Greetings, everyone, and welcome to my channel. Hope everyone is doing wonderful today. I'm Lady Starfire, and today I want to talk to you about some, gifts that people have. Okay, I'm actually planning on trying to get 2 videos done today. Please excuse me. I do have notes. I've got my glasses. As you can see, I had the surgery that I talked to y'all about, and my brain doesn't always function as well, so I don't want to miss out anything right here. Okay. Anyway, so and yes, I'm doing okay. So hopefully in a few weeks I'll get this cast off. So anyway, so today what I want to first talk to y'all about is empaths. Okay. I probably should do the other video first, may put it out first, don't know, we'll see what happens. But I was told that I needed to do one on empaths. Basically, because, I get so many people that come into my store and they're dealing with this stuff and they don't really know or understand exactly what's going on. So I want to, try to help the masses as much as possible. Okay. And there's different types of empaths and different things that people deal with. Okay. First thing is, and I've told y'all before, I believe, rhodonite. Hope you can see this. This one's a really pretty one. Has a good mixture of, pink and black. Those are the best ones for empaths. It doesn't stop you necessarily from feeling or whatever other people's stuff, but it helps you to quickly realize that it's not yours. Okay. And so, okay, this headache, I don't have a headache. It's coming from over there. So, oops, send it away. Okay. Being empath for some people can be scary, all right, because you all of a sudden, you're somewhere and you're flooded all of a sudden with anger and sadness and happiness and just all these things mixed up, going crazy in your head, and so, and you don't know why. So you think you're just going crazy. All right. So I'm here to tell you, you're not crazy. All right. You just simply have to work towards learning how to control all of this. Okay. And that's some of what I want to try to help you with. We need to talk about, some of things because, to help you know if you're an empath, because it could be one of the other types of psychic abilities that you may have. And we're going to go into those in another video. But within empaths, there are, some things that you can do to help you know if you're an empath. There are things you can do to help you to develop some of these abilities and how to make it not so scary, okay? Because when you can control it and when you know what it is, it's not near as scary, okay? So, let me grab some glasses here and see. Basically, the definition of an empath is, empaths are people who are naturally sensitive to the emotions and feelings of others. This makes them incredibly vulnerable and can be tough to live with. But don't be scared. Empaths are some of the most compassionate and loving people on the planet, and they are just as capable of achieving amazing things as anyone else. Okay? So remember that. All right? Don't let it be crippling to you. People that are agoraphobic, a lot of times are empaths, and it's being out in a crowd and feeling their stuff, it becomes overwhelming to them. So they prefer just to lock themselves up in the house. And that's not healthy either. Okay. So, if you're a person that, tries to avoid crowds at all costs, all right, then there's a good chance that you are an empath. All right. Empaths tend to also choose, where they live, what neighborhood and stuff that, maybe more out in the country, away from people, things like that. They just don't want to be in a big city and, where there's so many people and, maybe so much crime, so much this, because they feel all of it. Okay. It's real simple. If you are a strong empath and you are in a large city where there's a lot of crime and all of that, every time somebody's shot, you might feel it. Every time, somebody's in a car wreck, any of these things, you're liable to feel it, see it, sense it, feel like it's actually happening to you. Okay. So, and that gets overwhelming, even if you're just sitting inside your house, if it's too close to you. So yes, a lot of empaths will choose to live away from people as much as possible. Okay. So if you avoid crowds, if you're very picky about where you live as far as being in close proximity with others, those are two signs that you may be an empath. Okay. If you find yourself taking on other people's energy, right? If you're happy and you're fine, and then all of a sudden you're somewhere and somebody over there is arguing, and the next thing you know, you're mad and want to rip everybody's head off. All right. You have taken on that negative energy from them. This is why back when I used to go out to, bars and nightclubs, I shut everything off, because especially as I started drinking, it became dangerous. Okay. Because if this couple over here is fighting, I would feel it. If this one over here was, taking drugs or on pain pills or smoking pot or whatever, any mind altering anything, I felt it. Okay. No matter what the emotions were, I would feel this and I would take this on. Okay. And so that's not a good thing, especially with people drinking. Okay. It's bad enough for the ones that are just drinking and getting angry, but to be the person that has no reason to feel this. All right. Because I'd feel it without drinking. Adding alcohol was never a positive thing. So I shut it all off. I'd have walk in there and people would go, well, can you read me? No, I can't. And they're like, but I thought you did this. Yeah, I do. No, when I'm in here, I don't. I lock that door, throw the key, leave the key at home where it can get unlocked. Okay. So, and yes, you have to learn to do that. All right. But it can be done. All right. So, empaths have a very high level of intuition. Okay. Now, granted, yours may be lower, maybe super high, anywhere in between, depending on how developed you are with it. It just means that you know things, all right, that just everybody else doesn't know. The phone's fixing to ring, it's going to be my mom, or whatever, whoever, and then in a few seconds or so, the phone rings and it's your mom. These are, that's intuition. All right. And like I said, we'll get into a lot of those things in in the other video too. But right now, just within empaths, you have this. All right. Maybe it's not developed yet, but the ability is there. And I will get into a way for you to develop it for those that want to develop it. And once you work through the developing process, it takes away a lot of the scariness of it, because you now have more control. Okay. Besides toting around your rhodonite stone. All right. A lot of empaths tend to ignore their own problems. All right. It's easier to work on helping somebody else. I'm guilty. Okay. When I had, like my son died and different ones, I was at the shop every day. Okay. Yes, with my son, my best friend, Champagne, was right here, and she ran interference for me. That was the start of the 4. But I was still here. It was because it was easier, and it was better for me to be here. 2 reasons. One is because sitting at home, my mother me would have just done nothing but cry. 2, if I was here, I stood a better chance of helping somebody. Here being my store, of course. And if I'm helping somebody else, I'm not focusing on my pain, okay, my loss, what I'm dealing with, okay. And so as empaths, this is what we tend to do, is we shove down our issues, our problems, and we work on everybody else. It's kind of that, it's easier to give advice than to take it type thing. So yeah, this is what we do. All right. It's about survival. Okay. And it's how we survive. And we're very compassionate people. So therefore we want to help others. And it's just easier to help somebody else than it is to deal with your own crap, to be honest. Okay. And that's kind of true with everybody for the most part. Now, there's some people who prefer to wallow in their stuff, and yeah, they haven't developed any empath abilities. But for the rest of us, excuse me, we choose to help others and not deal with our stuff. Okay. We also tend to attract broken people. Okay. In other words, those that are in need. We're always trying to, once again, help the wounded bird. So those people that are in need of guidance, help in some manner, love, nurturing, whatever it is, okay, those people are attracted to us, okay, because we radiate that compassion. And it's what we want to do is help them. And so we attract those people. You know, in life, what you put out is what is going to be attracted to you. Okay. So, you know, however you set up your aura, just, you know, if you watch my video on the auras, you know, we talk about this in what you're putting out, you know, and what people feel on that. If you are a compassionate person, then people are going to feel that you are, and they're going to be more drawn to you when they have problems. You know, somebody to talk to help them or whatever, okay? You know, because if you're not a compassionate person, you know, people are not going to be drawn to come to you for help because they're going to feel that, yeah, I ain't it, okay? That's what they're going to feel from your aura is, I ain't it. And so they're just going to keep going on. You know, it's up to you what type of person you want to be and what you want to attract, of course. Empaths tend to have a very deep connection to animals and nature. You know, those people that they're like, oh, don't touch that dog. And they walk, you know, over and the dog's just wagging their tail and, you know, and they're like, how is that? That animal, okay, even sometimes wild animals will just come up to them like it's nothing because they can feel that compassion, that love, okay? It's just unconditional, you know, and it's just different with people that are empaths, okay? In nature, the people that are empaths tend to always want to be out in nature. They'd rather be outside, in the grass, in the dirt, gardening, whatever, in the trees, in the, you know, forest, whatever. They would rather be there than inside a house any day of the week. Okay? You know, you almost have to drag them in. You know, they're the ones that are running around out there barefoot and, you know, grounding and hugging the trees and all these things that, you know, those of us do that enjoy, you know, such things. But, you know, and if these things fit you, then guess what? You're an empath, okay? Even if all of them don't fit you right now, you know, if most of them do, you're still an empath. You just either haven't developed the others yet, okay? It's okay, all right? Don't say, well, I thought I was an empath, but I'm not because I don't have that one. And that's not the case, okay? These are all signs of empaths and things that empaths deal with, all right? I know people that wish they weren't an empath, all right? And it's not something you can just turn off. It's just something that it's just there or it's not. You can develop, or at least most people can develop a lot of it. If you have no tendency to being a compassionate person, you're not going to be an empath for the most part because you would not be a helpful person that way. Okay. So, people that are empaths tend to be very sensitive. You know, sensitive to everything, to touch, scent, smell, hearing, you know, I like to joke that I can hear a gnat fart in the other room. Okay. But everything is sensitive. It goes back to kind of the caring thing, but it's very sensitive. You know, some of them wear their feelings down here on their fingertips, not even their sleeve, down on their fingertips. I've hardened over the years, so my feelings aren't down there. Can you hurt them? Yes, you can. You may and may not know it. It depends on how you hurt them and who you are and how important that is, okay? But a lot of empaths are extremely sensitive to all sorts of things, okay? Any type of stimuli at all, they're very sensitive to it. And so you have to learn to get that under control if you are an empath, all right? So that it doesn't drive you crazy, all right? Because it can drive you crazy, believe me. Let's see, what else do we have? Okay. Kind of like the, and part of the sensitive part is it's, beyond a hearing, because, we don't always hear with our ears. We hear inside here, we hear, it's just the information's there, right? So you listen and you feel with your entire body, okay? That goes back to the sensitive part, okay? Have you ever been in a situation where, you walk into a room or somebody walks in and it's like all the hair just stands up on your body and you're just like, whoa, okay? That is being a sensitive, or this part of hearing with your body, okay? That's your body's sign that something is going on, all right? And while we're talking about this, if any of this fits you in any kind of way, don't forget to hit the like button for me and subscribe if you haven't, all right? Those that have, I love you and I appreciate you so much. And don't forget to leave me comments. Leave me comments. Ask questions. If you're not sure about some of this stuff and something going on with you, feel free to leave a comment. I will be happy to help you in any way I can, okay? Or, if you are around where you can come see me or contact me in another manner, that's okay too. But, just let me know, okay? But remember, that like button helps me out a lot. Lets YouTube know that y'all like me and want me to keep doing this. So anyway, people that are empaths also tend to have jobs where they are helping people, okay? Counselors, psychiatrists, even in the medical field, as long as they're able to separate themselves and not feel everything that everybody's feeling there, because that gets overwhelming. But they will always have jobs helping, all right? Salvation Army, something, anything that helps others, all right, is the types of jobs you will usually find empaths in, all right? The biggest thing that you've got to do is manage and balance, okay? Meditation is a great way to help with this. Any type of thing that is meditation, for those of you that like to do things like yoga, it's, because you've got the breathing and the moving and it's good for your body. I don't do it. Grounding, getting outside, getting your hands, your feet, everything in the grass, in the dirt, grounding, hugging a tree, grounding. Got to hug a tree, make sure it doesn't have poison ivy or poison oak on it, okay? We don't want to be all itchy because then that's a whole nother thing. So, all right. But, any of these things help you to manage being an empath, okay? If you get yourself overwhelmed, go ground, all right? Ground out that excess energy, and especially the energy that's not yours, all right? You have to have that balance in your life, all right? You can't just shelter yourself from it all. That's not good, okay? So we learn how to balance it. We learn how to understand it and to make it to where we are not, so afraid to walk out of our house or different things. My daughter, Alice, people walk in that aren't even showing yet and she knows they're pregnant. When she was young, she didn't mind it. Now it causes her great pain. Okay. So that's a gift she wished she could get rid of, but you know what? Once you got them, it's just kind of there. When she was a young child, she could look at a woman, tell that she's pregnant, tell them what she was going to have. You know, she did this to a lady in a store when she was little, and she looked at her and she goes, "You're going to have a little boy." And the woman looks at her, "Oh, sweetheart, I'm not pregnant." She goes, "Yes, you are." And she was. And about 9 months later, she had a little boy. She wasn't showing at all. She was just barely pregnant. Okay. So, and it's okay. And, you may get information like that. And since I'm talking about that, let me add in, a lot of times people don't know what to do with the information when they're given it. Okay. Do I go tell them? Do I not? Is the person going to think I'm crazy? Whatever. Granted, yes, sometimes it can be a little scary. You're in a grocery store, like another chosen daughter of mine that happened to her a lot, and was told to go give this information. Well, some of them are going to look at you like you got 3 heads and run off and whatever. Doesn't matter. You gave the information. Some people think they should keep it to themselves. And kind of, it depends on the situation. When I'm reading cards, my guides know that if I'm not supposed to give that person certain information, don't tell me. Okay? They know this. Because if it comes in here, it's going to come out here. Because number one, you're paying me for this reading. So I depend on them. And, the cards are just there. I mean, yes, I read them. That gives me that. But they tell me what information goes with that. Okay? So if they're telling me, then I'm assuming I'm supposed to tell them. All right. And I've told them that, and they know that. So they know if I'm not supposed to answer something, they don't give me the information. Okay. So I feel like if you're given information and you have an urgency to tell that person, okay, then you need to tell them. And you just need to look at them and say, you know what, you may think I'm crazy, but I do have gifts, and I was told to tell you this. What they do with the information is up to them. Because number one, information is not always set in stone. Okay. That information might be, hi, I love you from a, departed loved one. I'm okay. It might be, you need to do something different, so that you're not in a wreck. Maybe you taking that time to talk to them delayed them enough in their, shopping that they were able to avoid it. All right. You don't ever know. The point is, you have a gift. You were given information. My opinion is it's your job to share it. Now, some information may not be something, depends on how your gift is, okay, because there are different types. It might just be as you're walking around, you're like going, okay, well, they're going to split up. They're going to get married. They're, whatever. It's just flowing information. Let it go. It doesn't matter, okay? But if it is information that you're given and you have an urgency that you need to give that information to that person, then do it. Be careful about how you do it, okay? Don't go, one of my guys just told me your mother's fixing to die, okay? Don't do something like that. That's horrible, okay? Maybe say, have you talked to your mother lately? I just got a message that, I get messages. I'm sorry. I know you think I'm crazy, but I was told that maybe you needed to contact your mother. Okay. You may have just given them the opportunity for that last I love you. Okay. Because that's something you can never get back. All right. So, Is it scary to walk up to a stranger and say something? Yeah, it is. I mean, my gosh, of course it is. Because you know they're going to think you're crazy. You know, you're going to scare the crap out of them. You know, you're some lunatic. What do you want? You know, or you want money or something? You know, I mean, that's what people think today. And so you have to find a way to word things in a way that lets them know, I'm just here to help. Okay? I just have information and I felt that I needed to tell you. Okay? So, you know, work on that and, you know, figure out ways to do it. Think about how you would want somebody to approach you in that situation. You know, I'm big on people remembering that, you know, to think about, turn it around. If it was you, would you want this done and how would you want it approached and that sort of thing, okay? And if you do things from that angle, you'll usually do it right. And the more you do it, the easier it gets, okay? I mean, you know, granted, you're going to have some people that are very receptive and they're going to try to ask you 40 billion questions and you're not going to have the answers to those. And you're going to have to just say, this is all the information they gave me. I don't know. When you do XYZ, that you should find out the rest of what you need to know, okay? Unless they give you more information, and then that's okay. You know, just be careful. Don't let people drain you, all right? That's the only reason I charge for my readings, is because otherwise I would never get anything done. I'd have people lined up all the time, and I would be exhausted from doing nonstop readings. So, you know, you have to make allowances in there. So, all right, let me see. Where are we? Because I got way off on whatever thing. All right. There are basically 3 types of empaths, okay? There are psychic empaths, intuitive empaths, and claircognizant empaths, all right? You know, psychic is just where here, okay, you know, you see the information, you know the information, whatever, okay? Intuitive is that phone's fixing to ring and it's my best friend, okay? The claircognizant, on the other hand, which we'll get into in the other video, is everything, okay? It just is information that comes in from any and all directions, the hair standing up, you know, you hear it, you see it, you feel it, it's just everything, okay? You're the one that wants to hide in your house. You're the one that needs to learn how to get control of it, okay? Because fear will actually block your psychic abilities. And so for those of you, because I get them in all the time, I want to open up my psyche. I want to open up my third eye, okay? And then once it does, you're going, how do I fix this, okay? Because now everything is all scary, all right? So I'm going to teach you a little something, and this will help for those of you that are already empaths. And maybe you can do this, maybe you can't. You'll be able to, because it's a thing to test which type you are. It's a thing for those that want to develop your psychic abilities, okay, and being an empath is part of it. There are many others, and that is what the other video is about, is psychic abilities. So once again, I'm not sure which order I'm going to put these up. So if it's already up, I'll do a link there, okay. I'll pop it up. I think it goes up this way, one of these 2 sides. Anyway, I don't have a choice on it. It just goes. So what you want to do is you want to take a deck of cards, okay? Just regular cards. Pull out all the face cards because we don't want those. They distract things in the beginning. You can add them in later if you want, once you get everything else down. But first, we just want to start with all the number cards. You know, shuffle them up, make sure they're mixed really, really good, you know, and then pick up a card. Don't look at it. Put it out over there, okay? And figure, first you're just going to do red or black, all right? You got a 50-50 chance of getting it right, all right? So what does this feel like? Does it feel like a red card or a black card? Once you say, no cheating, you're just cheating yourself anyway, okay? That's no fun. All right. So we're going to see. All right. Which one is this? Red. Is it red? Yes. Okay. We're going to put it over in this pile. All right. Take the next one. Red. Nope. It was black. We're going to put it over here. That way you can see how many you get right and how many you get wrong. Okay. When you get where you're getting the red or black right through that whole deck, you're ready to go to the next step. Okay. Now the next step is going to be, I would go with what suit it is because there's only 4 of those. We started off with 2. Now we're going to 4. Okay. So now we're going to say this is a red heart. Yay. This is a red diamond. No. Another red heart. Still got the red right. Got the other wrong. So it's half right. All right. And then, keep going. All right. So, and then have your piles. And then keep going until you master the whole deck of getting it right. Okay. Then you want to now go to the whole card. Okay. This is a red number 3 heart. Yes. Okay. And when you can do that throughout the whole deck, you have mastered this. Okay. That also means that you now have control over your ability, which now cancels out the fear. Okay. Because now you know that you know, and you can do this. Okay. And now there's no more reason to be afraid of it because you're going to know it usually before it happens. Okay. You're going to be able to go, okay, somebody over there is going to be really angry. This is not mine. Okay. And then you don't have to get that, rawr, okay. That's not fun. All right. When you're walking around, you're happy. Everything's great. And now all of a sudden you're just like, oh my God, I want to rip everybody's head off. Ah! Or you're yelling at your spouse or your kids and they've done nothing. Okay. Don't let yourself go there. Work on this. All right. It's really, really important for you to work on these things to get yourself to that place. Okay. Of having control over it where you allow yourself to feel, because you don't want to have so much control that you block it, but you're able to know it's coming to go, whoa, stop there. Not inside here. Stop here. Okay. It's kind of like I do when I'm doing readings and somebody's person shows up over here. Okay. It doesn't always happen, but it does sometimes. Well, I've had them try to get too far in here, and it's like, and no, you stand right here. You tell me what you want. It'll come out. I'll tell them. Okay. But I don't want you in here. Okay. That's not comfortable. I've had them show me pictures. That wasn't always comfortable either. Okay. So, you have to decide when it's okay and when it's not. Okay. But you have to know that you are in control. You have to get yourself to the point that you are in control. All right. That yes, you have these gifts, but I can control them. I was reading a lady's cards, former surgery, of course. And I'm usually pretty nice. There's times that, it's like, yeah, okay, this is it. But I'll tell people sometimes maybe you need to zip it, be careful who you're telling crap to, that sort of thing. Well, I'm trying to say this to this woman, and it kept coming out that you just need to shut your mouth. You need to stop talking so much. You need to shut. And finally, I said, I am so sorry. I don't know who this is over here that keeps saying it this way, but it just keeps coming straight out of my mouth every time they say it. And she started laughing and told me who it was because it's what he always said to her. Okay. So it was okay. And she was okay with it. But all of a sudden, I was feeling horrible because this just kept blurting out of my mouth. Okay. Not usually rude enough to say you need to shut up. Okay. Maybe, yeah, is it, yeah, that, but not just shut up. Okay. Because it's rude in my opinion. But this was a parent. So that's what they said to her. because you talk too much, obviously. So anyway, you have to get where you have this control. All right. Now I was hearing the information, but it was filtering so quick that it just kind of came out. It wasn't like they took over, but that, and I do allow that when I'm doing readings and what a person shows up. It's a choice I made. I didn't used to at all. I've, got a little more comfortable with it. I have my guardians over here that make sure that nobody bad, comes through. Only somebody that needs to give information to the person. Okay. Okay. So, I hope this helps y'all when it comes to being an empath. All right. I feel like most people are, unless they are extremely closed off, maybe egotistical, arrogant, all about me, so I don't have time for you. Yeah, those kind of people probably are not an empath. Not to say they couldn't be, but they're so consumed with it's all about me, okay, that they don't care about you. So, I'm not talking to those people right now. I'm talking to you, the person that is like, why do I feel everything? Okay. It's because you're an empath. There's a name for it, and it's okay. All right. Work these steps down here. Recognize these signs and these traits. Ground yourself, meditate, work on this stuff. Okay. It really, really will help you. I promise it really will help you. Okay. Yes, meditation can be tough for those that have monkey mind. We'll get into all of that. I have gotten into that in the video on meditation. Go watch it. If you don't know how to meditate, go watch my video on meditation. Okay? I'll put the link up here for you. So just work on these things, okay? Get your rhodonite stone. Okay? Make sure it's a real rhodonite. Make sure it has a good mix of the pink and the black. All right? It needs that mix. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer so you can see. There we go. All right. So there we go. Rhodonite. I'll pop the name up here for you too. Anyway, I hope this helps you. Hope you enjoy the video. Please excuse my appearance. Can't really do makeup. I'm doing good to do anything with my hair this week. So no lifting or anything with the hand. As of today, I have 2 weeks till I go see about getting this cast off. And then we'll see what happens from there. So anyway, by the time you see this video, it'll probably be 1 week maybe. So anyway, thank you. And, for those of you that knew about this and paid attention to my last video, I appreciate the love that you've been sending and the healing. I don't post things out there normally. I just knew there was no way to hide this unless I just didn't do videos till it was all over. And then there would be weeks with no videos. And many of you complain sometimes that I'm only getting one out, and I'm sorry. Time has been not my friend lately, and I'll, if you really want more, I'll try to do it. But there's rules for me doing more videos. I need y'all to watch them all the way through. I need you to share my videos and tell them to watch them all the way through. If it's somebody new that hasn't seen them at all, please ask them to go and just binge watch. And if they don't have time to watch them, just let them run. It'll be okay. I need the view hours, all right? And I need those likes. I need likes because that tells YouTube that y'all like my videos and there's a reason for me to be here, okay? Because otherwise, do I need to keep making videos? Your choice. You let me know, okay? Anyway, so once again, thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you to my new subscribers, because I know there's some new ones out there, and I appreciate y'all. And appreciate the ones that give me the likes and my comments and that share my videos. Y'all are all wonderful people. Remember that being an empath is really not a curse, even though it can seem like it, okay? It's actually a very wonderful gift. And if you weren't really compassionate to begin with, it'll help you get there, all right? So, everybody have a wonderful and blessed day, and remember that I love you, okay? And I'm always here for you. If anything I can do to help you, let me know. So until the next one, blessed be.